Another exciting time to talk sport right here on Dominion Television, your channel of choice, and this is Dominion Sport. This morning, usually we look at the local front on the show. Also, let me inform you that the round 4 of the Carabao Cup is out. Yesterday, we saw the fixtures from the big team going through the round 4. Also, we'll be looking at the Europa League, what's happening right there in the Europa League, the fixtures for today, and also the result for yesterday. Also, La Liga action happened yesterday. We'll be looking at the result right here on the show. All this and more on Dominion Sport and Dominion Television, your channel of choice. I am Paul Abe Toluwanime, and I have the expert analyst himself, Samson Balogun, the man with undiluted report and I say unbiased analysis. Samson, good morning to you.
Well, good morning to you, Tolu, and it's really nice to be here to talk sports. And we say thank you for joining us on today's edition of Dominion Sports. Of course, there's a lot to unpack, a lot to talk about in the world of sports. The Super Falconets are gearing up and preparing to have their second.
I like the way you call them the Super Falconets. It's like you're already giving them their wings to fly better.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
so
massive,
they should. A lot is expected of them. They were able to execute the first leg of the encounter. One goal to nothing away from home in Kigali, and coming back to Adamasingba Stadium. I think all is set, all hands are on deck to make sure that this is a success. The state government, massive support, that is over 100 million.
Even the Rwanda team stepped in yesterday.
Over 100 million marked to actually execute this particular game. Stadium thrown open for massive support. Media accreditation currently going on. I think a lot is at stake, and most definitely the support is massive, and we expect them to achieve success in this very well. So Samson Balogun is my name. Keep it locked on this down. There's a lot to talk about.
All right, yes, just like we did on the show every day on Dominion Sport, we look at the local front and the WAFU B, just like we talked about yesterday, Samson Balogun, the WAFU B on the 17th championship, Golden Eaglet trashed Benin to move top of Group B. The Nigerian Golden Eaglet trashed Benin Republic 4-1 in their opening fixtures at the ongoing WAFU B under 17 championship on Wednesday. George Aga bagged an hat-trick in Nigeria in the Group B encounter. Played at the stade, Yamoussoukro, right here in Côte d'Ivoire. Aga opened scoring for the Golden Eaglet in the 4th minute, while David Hede doubled the advantage 2 minutes later. Manu Gaba's side scored 2 more goals through Aga in the 14th and the 31st minute, respectively. Jeremy Zonu pulled one back for Benin Republic on the dot of the 45th minute of the first half. The Golden Eaglet topped the Group B with 3 points, same as Burkina Faso, who have another inferior goal difference. Nigeria will face the Baby Stallions on Saturday to determine who top Group B. Benin Republic have already been eliminated from the competition following their second defeat. There you have it, Samson Balogun. The WAFU B is going to take us through the under-17 competition for the World Cup and also for AFCON, right? But there you have it, beautiful victory, 4-1 against Benin Republic.
It's always, we always talk about, starting on the front foot, and that actually helped them in that game, getting their first goal. The first half was more or less like a shooting practice. They got 4 beautiful goals until, Benin Republic drew, one back in that game. So it's always a beautiful one when you start on the front foot, when you get the first goal, the second goal, you have, nothing to lose anymore than to defend your 2 goals if anything happens in the game. But they were in cruise control in the first half, and though they actually had to make some substitutions, give other players, a run in the team, and then make them, have some games to play. And of course, it's actually panned out in the right direction for the coach. And I think this is more or less like a test in the waters for them. They still have to vie for who tops the group, and that's one thing we need to look at. You can't just believe, because you be defeated by the Republic 4-1, you have to take your leg off the gas. I think this is the right time for them to actually do better. We envisaged that it was going to be a victory for them, and yes, it's a victory. 4-1, beautiful one, 3 goals margin. They have goals. If it comes down to goals, in the last game of the group phase, then they already have some goals in the bag, and that's just one beautiful thing about the results yesterday. It's not just about winning; it's about winning beautifully and handsomely. So it's really a good one, and we expect them to move on from there and get the maximum 3 points in the next game.
Samson, we still have the likes of Manu Gaba still managing this young talent, and that's to show that they still believe in such coaches. And you look at what they have done, you look at their CV, and you look at the players they have produced in time past, and also with this under-17, how do you say Manu Garba prepare these players ahead? If they're able to secure the top spot, they get a ticket, to the World Cup, they get a ticket to, the AFCON also under-17. So how do you see, Manu Garba's side, go forward with challenges like this?
Well, when you look at Coach Manu Garba,
Yeah.
I think when we talk about age grade football,
Yeah.
working with young talent is vast, experienced. He understands what this actually means, and it's not a new thing to him. Since the passing of Coach Yemi Teller, we have seen a lot of quality coaches who have worked with the NFF as regards age grade football. We have seen coaches like Ladan Boso, John Obu. We have seen Samson Siasia, Emmanuel Amuneke. So these are quality coaches. They are from one age category to the other. They have done tremendously well. Yes, you can win all the time. Some of them have had bad days in office, so you can't really fault them for that. But for Nigeria and Nigerians, they always want the best when it comes to age grade football, because that's massive, where massive talent abounds. Yes, when they eventually grow into Super Eagles, it might be difficult for you to pick the right set of players. But then at the age grade level, scouting is more or less like a little bit easy for these coaches. They know exactly where to look to get quality players, and that's the results we are seeing now. And going forward, I think Manu Garba has what it takes to actually steer the ship of the team and then get them to, even the World Cup. So let's keep our fingers crossed, provided the necessary support is available by the NFF, logistics is taken care of, and of course the players are motivated, allowances are paid on time, and then, they are playing top quality friendly games to keep them in shape ahead of games against, tough opponents. I think, yes, I fancy their chances of qualifying for bigger competitions.
All right, let's look at the man that bagged the hat-trick yesterday for the under-17 team Nigeria. There you have it, wonderful young talent and getting the hat-trick for himself right there in Cote d'Ivoire, the Wafu B, and we hope for the very best for Manu Garba and his side going forward.
That's exactly how Victor Osimhen also started. That's how some other strikers in the team, Macaulay Chris-Santos, Sani Emmanuel,
the likes of Stanley
Okoro, and it's not a new thing that we are seeing players like this. Can they be nurtured to a stage where they become professional and then play for big teams? This is the job of the coach, and I expect them to actually keep some of these players, together. We have seen situations where, when you see under-17 team, when they are meant to graduate to become under-20, only a few of them are called back. Why is it like that? These players have played together. I think they should move together and then play. When you look at the English national
I was about talking about the European football.
Yes,
that's the pattern.
See, majority of them,
they grow into that system.
Look at the era where you had, when you had Bojan Krikic and some other Camacho and some other players, they moved from under-17. Majority of them, except for players who had, life-threatening injuries that could not continue their careers. They moved there down to the under-20, down to under-21, under-23. Same for England. Look at the era, the category of Reece James, Phil Foden
and the likes.
These are Marcus Rashford. They are of the same age category, and they have been progressing in their pattern. So for Nigeria, you only see one play. Look at the category of Victor Osimhen. In that team, only Victor Osimhen and maybe this left-footed guy who left it in line for Fulham, Samuel Chukwueze. Only the two of them will you see, they are promoted to the Super Eagles. So what happened to the rest? It is because it is still the job and responsibility of the Football Federation to see to the development of these players. So if after the under-17 tournament, they are all disbanded and everyone goes to their homes, and then when it's time for the under-20, you start scouting for players again. So there's no consistency. So that is why you see when they go for tournaments like that, especially after under-17, you are going for under-20, there's no synergy between the players because majority of them have just been brought together to play as a team, and they have not been together before. So you always see these lapses. I'm not saying the same set of players should go, but a huge percentage of them should, especially when they perform well at the last tournament. So a huge percentage should be in that team. And then if you are bringing other players too, yes, that means they will come to join them and complement the team, not because they are coming to make the team as a whole.
I'm going to ask you a question, Samson, quick one. Is that why European football is, striving better than, African football?
Yes, that's one of the reasons.
Or is it just because, they make more stars, than we do right here?
It's not like they make more stars than we do. If you look at, talents from Africa that play abroad, you will see that a huge percentage of African players play for France, they play for England, they play for Belgium. If you look at the Belgian and French national team now, there are so many African players there. Switzerland too, they parade African players.
Yeah.
Austria, they parade African players. To an extent, Australia at some point paraded African players. Look at the American national team. At one point or the other, we have seen African players. Canada, for example, too, they also parade African players because that's where you see players like Davies. There are a lot of them actually. So it's not about talent. It's about the ability to make this talent work for us. So Jose Mourinho once said something that if African players played for Africa, Africa would have won the World Cup. And I agree totally, in all totality, that would have happened. Imagine, when France won the World Cup, look at the percentage of African players in that team. Presnel Kimpembe, you had, Benjamin Mendy.
You have Kylian Mbappe.
Kylian Mbappe. Majority of them, 90% of that team, were of African descent. The only set of players you would see of who are French true and true would be maybe Hernandez. And from their skin color, you would know, this guy is actually French. True. So this is one of the reasons that African football has been, a little bit stagnant in recent times, because majority of African players, the moment they leave the shore, play one season with their local club, have what we call one season wonder, they are traveling abroad. They don't mind playing in the 5th, 4th, or 3rd tier football.
Are you going to blame them? Are you going to blame them for that move?
I'm not, because football is more lucrative abroad than in Nigeria. And that is because those ones spotted what we call the business part earlier enough. They spotted the business part of the game and they are capitalizing hugely on it. I once mentioned something on this show that, are you saying there's no eatery out there that will sponsor Shooting Stars? Even if it is going to be on a barter arrangement, are you saying there is no plastic company in Ibadan that can actually say, oh, these chairs are no longer good, let's get you new one, let's help you mulch new ones you can put at the stadium? This is partnership. This is what we call PPP, public-private partnership. Bring them on board, let them do business with you, and then in turn, they are not taking money, they just want visibility. So are you saying there are no companies in Ibadan that want visibility that Shooting Stars can provide? Are you saying there are no companies in Ibadan that can support them with what they have and get what they want in return? So we have actually zeroed in on the fact that, football is just usual business. So we don't care, because the government provides the money. They don't care whether you make profit or you lose. So that should change. That's a narrative that should change. So in this sense, if you have a player like Aga, that just scored an hat-trick yesterday, there should be a process that helps him develop by the NFF. Not just his agent, not just his coach, but the NFF that helps him develop through the ranks and then play for the Super Eagles. We have seen players who have faded away in recent times, and you begin to ask yourself questions. Where's Macaulay Chrysanthos today? He was a top scorer at the under-17, and then all of a sudden he faded away. He played in Europe for some time, then he became a journeyman, playing second, third-tier football across Europe. Where is Dele Allan Pasu? This is a goalkeeper that showed really well. What happened to Ambrose Van Zeken under Samson Siasia? These are top quality players that the NFF should have actually worked with to help them develop their careers. I mean, you look at during the era of there was on under 17. I will remember the year, the likes of Toni Kroos and the likes. We had, look at what Toni Kroos eventually became, and it wasn't just Toni Kroos. He had some other German players that were in the same category and went through the ranks to play for the German national team. But for Nigeria, they all stalled at the under 20, and they stopped there. Some of them traveled abroad, some of them forgot about football and then did something else. And look at Sonny Emmanuel. Who helped Sonny Emmanuel? He got injured, and then that was it. That was the end. So we need to develop a football culture, a sporting culture generally, that helps footballers, helps athletes to develop beyond the stage where they were captured and then to a greater height.
Honestly speaking, I have so much questions for something on this issue. Trust me, I want to also speak about, going forward with when we see other international players, abroad. I mean, our own players players that do not play for under 17 and they get called up already. But Samson, we are going to talk about that as the show progresses right here on Dominion Sport. But let's move on to more stories still making the news in the local front. Flying Eagles wrap up Chile camp, confirmed squad changes ahead of the World Cup opener. Nigeria under 20 main national team, the Flying Eagles, have confirmed a later change to their squad for the 2025 FIFA Under-20 World Cup in Chile, following the withdrawal of central defender Freedom Marvelous due to injury. Marvelous, who plays for Ikorodu City FC, sustained a knee injury during the final stages of the team's 12-day training camp in Santiago and has been officially ruled out of the tournament. In response, head coach Ali Zubao has called Aruna Aliu of Wiki Tourist as a replacement. The squad adjustment comes up just days before the Nigerians' world match against Norway, scheduled for Monday, the 29th of September. Aruna Aliu is expected to arrive in Chile by Friday morning to integrate into the team before the crucial Group F opener. The Flying Eagles concluded their pre-tournament training camp with a spirited 2-hour sections on Wednesday evening at the Cacha training pitch in Santiago. 19 players participated under the supervision of Coach Zubeo and his technical team as preparation concluded ahead of Thursday's move to Talca City, right there in southern Chile. Marvelous received a warm send-off from his teammates and coaching staff who presented the team with a signed jersey for the man. There you have it on the screen, Samson Balogun. Sad one from Freedom Marvelous from Ikorodu City. I'm sure, he really wanted to be part of this, but it is what it is. You can't take, an injured player to a tournament. There you have another man coming on board from Wiki Tourist. Something looking at the preparations for the team. We said it yesterday, and we said we'll keep talking about it. More updates will still pop up as the competition unfolds. But there you have Freedom Marvelous out of the team. A defender from Wiki Tourist coming into the team, looking at the preparations for the Flying Eagles. How do you see them? The mindset for the players right now, losing a player, then preparations for Monday against Norway.
I think it's going to be demoralizing, especially when such player happens to be a regular starter. Is an important and integral part of the team, and it's going to be really demoralizing. And of course, that might have tweaked the coach's plan ahead of the tournament. But there's still plenty of time to blend in a new player. Just that it might be a little bit difficult. That's where friendly games and before the tournament comes in. But it's really close. The tournament is so close.
So most likely might not even start any game.
That's the issue. So maybe it's going to be a problem, and I really feel sad for Marvelous. Just a few days ago, was being congratulated by his team and of course his teammates, on his success for being part of the squad going to the World Cup. But unfortunately, he's injured and he won't be a part of the tournament. That's really sad. And it's not even a good one for Ikorodu City, because one, if he comes back into the team, he's not walking straight into the team. He's definitely going to be on the sidelines.
I agree with that.
He's going to be on the treatment table for some time. So it's a total loss for them. Because if he had come back, if you probably walk back into the starting 11 and start playing football, but this is an injury. The fact that they won't be having their player representing them at the World Cup, the fact that he will be coming back injured is a problem. So let's just hope that the coach has seen a like-for-like replacement for Marvelous, and when that such player comes into the team, he will be able to fit in perfectly and then do the job the coach actually expects him to do. That's the only thing we can do right now. But the coach knows exactly what he wants. He knows who the replacement is going to be like, but it's going to be really devastated at this time that it won't be a part of the World Cup.
All right, there you have it on the screen, the replacement for Freedom Marvelous, the defender all the way from Wiki Tourist. There you have it on the screen, and I'm sure it's I don't want to say blessing in disguise because he will not be expecting it, but there he is, representing.
That's why when you are preparing for a tournament, you have your full team and you have backup players that you have highlighted. Oh, if not because I have a player as good as this, I probably would have.
So most likely the coach must have known that just in case.
Yes, you can't just call a player up. You must have known that. If something happens to so player, I think this player would have player A would be perfectly fit that bill,
yeah.
but because so person has this quality that this player
Ahead
does
of
not
this
have,
player, yeah.
and that's why I'm picking this particular. But if what's come to us, I'll be able to choose him and still be able to play with him. So that's exactly the situation.
Okay.
So the coach must have prepared for this.
Yeah.
And there is always a contingency plan that if so thing happen, what do we do? So I think that that's the plan the coach is using right now.
All right, let's take more stories still on the local front this morning. ITF confirms Nigeria versus Uzbekistan in the 2026 Davis Cup playoff. International Tennis Federation ITF has officially announced that Nigeria will host Uzbekistan in the 2026 Davis Cup World Cup Group 2 playoffs scheduled to take place from February 6 to 8, 2026. Team Nigeria earned its place in the playoff following a commendable performance at the African Group 3 competition held right there in Zimbabwe. The squad secured promotion alongside Namibia and Senegal after a series of dominant displays in the round-robin event. The next challenge comes in form of Uzbekistan, currently ranked number 49 in the Davis Cup ranking and seeded number 1 in the World Group playoff draw. The Central Asian side, with a history of strong performances in Davis Cup, represent a formidable hurdle for Nigerian team. Despite the tough draw, Nigeria Tennis Federation has expressed optimism about the country's chances, citing the team's recent progress, growing momentum at the continental stage. Hosting the tie in home soil is expected to give Nigeria a potential edge with local support and familiar conditions likely to play a key role in the continent. That's the update we are getting. There you have the pictures, the preparations ahead for next year at the ITF competition against Uzbekistan. And we hope that we can see that one through. Let's take more stories right about now. Kelechi Iheanacho in the news. Samson Balogun and is banging in the goals already for Celtic. Yesterday he came up from the bench and got the goal for Celtic. And you know, you look at the league game over the weekend, he got a goal. There you have it also during the Scottish Cup, he got an assist. So it looks like we have a rejuvenated Kelechi Iheanacho under a manager. He has played under Leicester City, Brendan Rodgers, and you're one man that speaks highly of managers who understand players. You mentioned you're in the 17, Manu Gaba, Samson Siasia, Emmanuel Amunike. There you have, Kelechi Iheanacho under his manager. How do you see what, Brendan Rodgers has been able to do with Kelechi Iheanacho this season?
If you remember, I once told you about Kelechi Iheanacho's move to Sevilla. That it was a very long move. If you look at how Sevilla is set up, there's no place for a player like Kelechi Iheanacho in that team because they rely solely on playing from the flanks. And then if you have Kelechi Iheanacho in the team, he's not a tall striker, even if he plays as a striker. And if he plays in midfield, it will be very difficult for him to play because when you look at their flanks, that's where you have players like Chidera Ejuke plays for them. They believe so much in playing from the flanks, and it's going to be a problem for him. So his move to Sevilla was a total waste of time. He should have gone for a team that plays more on the floor, on the ground. So that's where he can actually, succeed. If you look at Brendan Rodgers at Leicester City, they believed so much in playing from midfield, and then when they play from midfield, definitely a player like Iheanacho will play so well. He's a kind of striker. If he plays as a front nine, as a number 9, he's a kind of striker that believes in you putting the ball right on the ground, and then play to his legs. He's not the player that has this area prowess where he can actually receive the ball and then play with the midfielder. So it was a very wrong move for him to have gone to Sevilla. And it's not a new thing. I mean, it's not a coincidence that you are seeing a rejuvenated player.
He's a fantastic player.
He has played under Brendan Rodgers. He understands him. He knows exactly what he's capable of doing. That's why he was able to pluck him out of Sevilla and then take him to Celtic. So it's just the beginning of greater things for Kelechi Iheanacho. I believe he's going to score a lot of goals this season. He has walked straight into the starting 11 at Celtic and is doing what he knows how to do best, which is to score goals and also assist them. And congratulations to him, actually, because so many players, once they make one wrong transfer move, it becomes totally wrong. It alters everything. But then it's just 1 year of bad performance, and he has been able to turn it around. And it's a good one for him. And that might just open the door of the Super Eagles to him again.
Speaking about that. All right, that's Kelechi Iheanacho for you. I'm sure Manchester United fans would always remember Kelechi Iheanacho. But what a way to go. let's look at the fourth round draw yesterday before we look at the result in the Carabao Cup. Here we have the fourth round draw yesterday, and Samson Balogun, a fantastic one. We have Arsenal against Brighton of Albion. It's going to be a big game. Crispin Town against Brentford. We have Swansea City against Manchester City. We have Newcastle United against Tottenham. That's a big game. We have Wrexham against Cardiff City. We have Liverpool against Crystal Palace. We have Wolverhampton Wanderers against Chelsea. Wycombe against Fulham. Something for you, the round 4 draw, which fixtures is looking more intense for you ahead of the game?
Well, I think my pick of this particular draw for round 4 will be the match between Arsenal and Brighton and Hove Albion. Brighton also won, impressively. They won their game impressively. And they will be playing against Arsenal, who also won their own game. But, Arsenal, they are always known for rotating their squad when it comes to cup competitions. It's the era of Arsene Wenger. And Mikel Arteta is in charge. He has told the part of Arsene Wenger a little bit when it comes to cup competitions. He has been able to tweak his team, play some fringe players and give them... Yes, that's what it gives them, some fringe players, the chance to also play football, and that's a good one. At least, you don't have too many players coming to knock your door on a Monday morning to ask why they didn't make the starting 11 over the weekend. So it's a good one for them. But then, when they rotate the team and Brighton and Hove Albion plays their starting 11, then it becomes a problem for them. So it's going to be a tough test for Arsenal against Brighton. The other game I think will be a little bit difficult will be Newcastle United against Tottenham Hotspur. Tottenham Hotspur under a new coach who left Brentford, Thomas Frank left Brentford for Tottenham, has been able to make some changes to that Tottenham team, especially with the way they play. They are a little bit aggressive this season with the way they and that's is going to be counterproductive for Newcastle United, who have now taken a little bit of soft approach to football.
So I want to ask a question, something quick one. It's just 2 questions on this round now. You mentioned playing, maybe some players who are not the mainstay team, but you look at some players. I looked at the game yesterday. Bukayo Saka just came back from injury. You need to see the tackle, the Port Vale player made on Bukayo Saka. You wonder maybe this is the reason why we don't start, the big players in such games like this, because it becomes a problem. The tackle was wild for me. I'm like, why are we going? The second question also is, would you agree that Newcastle United have the best midfield in the Premier League?
Well, starting from your first question, I think that's not the only reason. But some teams, when they have more commitments, especially for the top 5 teams who have commitments in Europe, it's only the wise thing for you to do, to rotate your squad and give French players a chance to play, get some few minutes under their belt. So, but then when you understand that you have, especially when the season is drawing close, you have to finish strong, qualify for the UEFA Champions League, or maybe win the league, and then you have some cup competitions. You might just think of playing your French players and then keep your best legs fit for the next set of games, especially when deciders are about to be played. So I do not think that's the only reason, but it just contributes to why some teams prefer to rotate and then keep their best players on the bench until they feel like, we might just be needing this player on the field of play, especially to turn things around. Imagine Chelsea playing against Wycombe, and then they fall behind in the first 10 minutes. True, and then the second half, nothing is happening. You'll be forced to bring a Kopama, Pedro Neto to come and turn things around. So that's what happens. So you might just want to rotate. And then when you talk about Newcastle United and the midfield, yes, I might want to say yes when it comes to midfield for Newcastle United in the last 2 seasons. You have Bruno Guimaraes, you have Sandro Tonali, Joelinton, who was once a striker and then was converted to come play back as an attacking midfielder. You would want to confirm that, yes, they have arguably one of the best midfield trio in the English Premier League, and I do not doubt that, but that doesn't mean they are the best. We still have a combination of Moise Caicedo, Enzo Fernandez, and some other players in the Chelsea midfield. And then if you look at that of Manchester United, you have Matthews Cunha, you have Bruno Fernandes, you have there are so many quality players in that Manchester United. Of course, you cannot underestimate what Casemiro brings to the team. And if you check for Arsenal, they just brought in Eberechi Eze, you have Zubimendi,
you have Merino.
I mean, these are quality players too. Declan Rice, these are quality players. And if you look at that of Liverpool, I mean, Florian Wirtz, Dominic Szoboszlai,
McAllister, Gravenberch.
I mean, these are quality players too. So that's not to say Newcastle United's midfield is, you know, the best in the EPL, but then they rank among the best. If you want to pick the top 5 or top 6 midfield in the EPL right now, you might want to talk about Newcastle United.
All right, let's move quickly because of our time, and let's look at the fixtures that happened yesterday, the Carabao Cup, quickly, so we can move straight into the Europa League. If you can have that displayed on the screen. Yes, there you have it. Massive games yesterday. Manchester City picking up the victory. Also, you have the Gunners also picking up the victory yesterday. We have Tottenham Hotspur picking up victory yesterday, and also, you know, Arsenal also picking up the victory yesterday. Now, swiftly, let's move away from that. Let's look at more updates from the Europa League. Yesterday, we had results from the game yesterday in the Europa League coming thick and fast. Samson Balogun, Real Betis against Nottingham Forest, and Postecoglou are still a little bit struggling against that. But Anthony coming on the game ended 2-2 for you. Real Betis, I think that was the big game yesterday. And also for our Nigerian player, Terry Murphy also got a goal yesterday, but on the defensive side right here.
You see, when you look at the UEFA Europa League this season, you see some quality teams, and you have seen great performances. Nottingham Forest, for example, went away to Real Betis and got 2 goals away from home, and also getting a draw, bringing back a point. And you see AS Roma also getting an away victory against OGC Nice. I mean, that's really massive for an AS Roma that is trying to turn things around since the departure of Jose Mourinho. I think they have had 2 different coaches now. They have not really been able to to fit in where they are expected to be, and that's a major challenge. You see a certain Ludogorets Razgrad, getting a 2-1 victory away to Malmo. Dinamo Zagreb defeating Fenerbahce by 3-1. Fenerbahce is a team you would have thought, was going to get a victory away from home, but unfortunately they slumped to a 3-1 defeat. Freiburg, expectedly defeated Basel by 2-1. Celtic getting a draw away from home against Partizan Belgrade. And I mean, Braga also defeating Feyenoord. A draw between Maccabi Tel Aviv and PAOK. Midtjylland defeating Sturm Graz 2-1. Massive results for some teams, and some teams also, it was what was expected of them, and nobody really expected too much from Nottingham Forest, but they were able to turn out a result.
Away from home.
That means we are beginning to see Ange Postecoglou trying to bring his philosophy, ideas into the team, and in the next 10 games, maybe if you get 10 games to turn things around, we might begin to see what we saw at Tottenham Hotspur in the second season. First season at Tottenham Hotspur. The second season wasn't too good, but they got a trophy which compensated for a place in Europe, and that's really fine. But let's just keep our fingers crossed. There's still a lot of games to be played in the UEFA Europa League, and then this is just the beginning.
All right, and also one man for Nottingham Forest, Hugo Jesus, is getting the goals back to back. It got the goal also in the Carabao Cup, but that was not enough, and also it got the brace also for Nottingham Forest at the Europa League. Let's look at the fixtures quickly for today's game. We have fixtures for Thursday's game in the Europa League. There you have it. Go Ahead Eagles against FCB. We have Lille against Brann. We have Aston Villa against Bologna. We have Cavaros against Victoria Plzen. Rangers against Genk. Salzburg against Porto. Stuttgart against Celta Vigo. Utrecht against Lyon. Young Boys against Panathinaikos, where we have a series desserts for you. Samson Balogun, which game is going to live up to expectations for you?
Well, I think it's going to be a very big one when you look at Aston Villa and Bologna.
Just one goal this season.
Yes, yes. And Aston Villa, they are struggling, but when it comes to European competition, Unai Emery is a guru.
Especially this competition.
Yes, UEFA Europa League. He has won in 2 or 3 times. Three times.
This is
Villa be a victory for FC Porto.
All right. For you, FC Porto.
FC Porto for a victory.
Rangers are Genk for you?
Rangers and Genk might end up in a draw, because Rangers this season too, not that convincing for me. Genk 2, not that convincing. Might be a game between two mediocres, but then might end up in a draw. Yeah.
All right, let's be waiting for that. Just look at the result in La Liga and to wrap up the show. Yesterday, Julian Alvarez got an hat-trick yesterday for Atletico Madrid, and Diego Simeone made a statement saying, I think this is one player we need to keep and treasure at Atletico Madrid. Julian Alvarez, for me, I think is one man. Also, like Cesaro Gracia, like I mentioned, not being talked about, underrated. There you have it, 3 goals to 2.
He was pushed out of Manchester City. He was at Manchester City, and so many people thought he was going to be a replacement for Sergio Aguero.
Yeah, true.
But unfortunately, Pep Guardiola wasn't, patient enough with Julian Alvarez. He knows exactly what he can bring to the table, and you would realize the fact that he contributed to how Joao Felix was pushed out of the team eventually. Look, there's an Alvarez here that plays almost the same way as you do, and then he's banging in the goals. I mean, you can't stay here, and that's why he was pushed out, and he's in the Saudi Pro League doing fine now. But if you look at how this team is composed, I think right now, Diego Simeone is becoming a little bit soft when it comes to his approach to football. He now plays with, soft players, skillful players who can actually get the goals. It's not just about the big man, just like the era of Fernando Torres, the era of Diego Forlan at Atletico Madrid. They have Diego Costa too. They have paraded really strong men in front. Sergio Aguero, for example, also played for Atletico Madrid. But this time around, they are looking at, something more, of soft sports, soft
that can get the work done.
Get the work done. You don't have to be the big man, but at least get us the goals, and that's exactly what you are saying.
Right.
And it really suits Atletico right now.
All right, let's look at more results. For yesterday's game in La Liga swiftly, because we're about to wrap up the show. Swiftly, let's look at more results from yesterday's game from La Liga. There you have it. Real Sociedad against Mallorca. The game ended 1-2 nil. Oyezabal still getting the goal. Fantastic player. Come on. Let's look at more results quickly. From yesterday's game in La Liga. Here you have it also, Getafe against Deportivo Alaves. The game ended 1-1. Also, Samson Balogun's sad one. Tariq Lamptey with an ACL injury. I'm sure he would be out also for the AFCON. He got an ACL injury for the game against Florentina. Also, Diego Leon also getting another ACL injury yesterday during the Carabao Cup. And now we're getting report that Federico Chiesa is going to replace him right there for the Champions League. As we wrap up, ACL injuries are not one that players will want to get.
You see, it's actually disastrous. Most players are devastated when this is announced. You just wish it's not happening to you, but unfortunately, you cannot cheat nature.
On the show, I've mentioned like 5-6 players now with injuries.
These things are bound to happen, and I really feel sorry for Lamptey. He's one player with huge potential. Left Chelsea,
Brighton,
went to Brighton and Hove Albion, and now to Fiorentina. He's a fantastic player, attacking player. Attacking-wise, he's good. Defensively, he's good.
I agree.
He's just been unlucky, with transfers and of course with injuries. I do hope that after this, he gets back to full fitness, and then it becomes a story of Ousmane Dembele too, who conquered the injury and then became the World Footballer of the Year. So let's just hope that he gets out of this cleanly, and then let's hope it doesn't become career-threatening injury.
All right, that's all we can take on the show. A big thank you to everyone that joined us. Make sure you like, make sure you follow us on all our social media platforms. On YouTube, make sure you drop your comment, make sure you share. Thank you so much for following us. We're going to see you some other time again. Enjoy your day, stay safe. Samson Balogun, thank you so much for joining us on the show.
Really nice to be here to talk sports.
All right, that's going to be all for today. Have a wonderful day. Bye for now.